Welcome to the Dirt World Podcast. I'm Jason Richmond, a fourth-generation road builder who started on a shovel and now serves as the Chief Operating Officer at BuildWit. Today we have Josh McKnight, president of Coup de Grit and Lineage, both companies under the Tungo umbrella. His journey with Tungo Co. began over 25 years ago when he started working during the summers, sorting scrap tungsten carbide while in high school. Josh has specialized in the hard-facing industry for years and is familiar face industry-wide. He helps everyone from large corporations to local farmers in his shop to improve productivity, lower operating costs, minimize risk, and protect safety and the environment. Josh, welcome to the Dirt World Podcast. Wow, that was a tongue twister.
Thanks, Jason. Glad to be here. Glad to be part of this.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited to be here. So, look, today is all new for me. I don't know much about Coup de Grit. I screwed up the way I even say the name. So tell me a little bit, like, as we get started, let's just get square on how is it? It's Coup de Grit and it's a division of
Incorporated.
Tungo Incorporated. Got it.
Correct.
All right.
So I can give you a little bit of background on that if you want to start from there.
No, that's all good. We'll jump right into it. I just want to make sure I got it right there. So how you doing today, man?
Man, doing good. We're headquarters in Western Kentucky, so the weather is finally cooperating. And of course, we're not too far. We're about 90 miles north of Nashville.
Beautiful. Well, Are the leaves starting to change colors yet?
Not yet, but the combines are running.
I hear you. Well, by the time this airs, I bet the leaves will be changing colors here before too long. So you're in Western Kentucky right now?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Where'd you grow up?
So I'm a little town called Madisonville, Kentucky, Western Kentucky. It's kind of still the coal industry is still thriving here. I have a couple underground coal mines within 5 miles of my house. 300 to 400 miners drop in every day underground. Come from a coal mining family. My dad was a coal miner, both grandfathers, little brother. It's a tough industry, but a good living.
So you were destined for this industry.
Yeah. It's so I went to college. Obviously I worked here through high school, and then the founder of the company was like, "Go get your education," which I did, and so I wound up getting a degree in industrial maintenance. So I got a little bit of a maintenance background there, and then I actually. When I was there at college, I got on at UPS. Nice. And so I made a career at UPS for probably 15 years, and then came back into the company on the mining side. So not I had family that worked at those mines, but I was also the delivery guy. So when I pulled up to the mines, they rolled me out of the package car and wrestled me to the ground a lot of times, horse playing, because they knew my last name from the mining industry because of all my family working there.
Very good.
But that's a little bit of the background on how I started into it, but then came back to it in the mining industry for the sales side of that. But So that's kind of where we got our start, is in 1969. The founder of the company, Steve Nance, started to bring the mining picks and scrap tungsten that they drill into the rooftop for the roof support out of the coal mines to pay for his way to go to college at University of Kentucky. And needless to say, he was onto something. He went to UK for about a semester and then left, and now we're a worldwide company.
Wow.
He started bringing the scrap out by the roof bits and would heat them up on an old railroad tie and a sledgehammer, and would beat the carbide out of them for the scrap. They were just being left underground. That when they would pull them out of the machines, it's almost like a milling drum. So the same drum on a continuous miner, but they would just pitch them to the side underground, and they were just being left under there. And so he was recovering those out of there, and then got on down the road and actually patented his own bit, and so got into the manufacturing side of it. And then it snowballed from there into multiple different types of scrap tungsten carbide. So we started recycling used drills and inserts and end mills off milling lathes. And then obviously the road milling teeth off the asphalt cutters. We recycle those. And then it got further on down the road to like when you buy a used drill bit, a lot of times you can send it back into the companies and they would regrind them or resharpen them. And so we actually buy the grindings out of the coolant, pull the coolant off of the grindings and recycle the carbide. And then even the dust collection, the filters, when they're like a new drill bit, you cut the flute out of it, the filters catch the carbide dust. We actually extract the tungsten out of the filters.
So sounds like you've been there for about 25 years. So walk me through your journey within the organization and kind of how you've gotten to where you are today.
Yeah. So, back in high school, we had all this different types of scrap tungsten come in, which was, a lot of grunt work, just hand sorting and procuring the tungsten, out of the processes that we use, whether it be that was probably something I didn't touch on before. Is either we used to, or we still do, buy the big tricone bits for the downhole drilling for the offshore rigs. So we procure all the scrap tungsten out of those. So that's a whole process that you have to heat up in a big furnace. And when we were kids, we would take jackhammers and jackhammer the tungsten out of them. So good work for high school kids, but so then that, got in on the scrap side. And then we, as I mentioned before, when we developed our patent on our bits, we were in the manufacturing side, which was at the time CUDA tools. So that was the tooling side of the tools that we manufactured and made. So as I was there in high school, I was on the production side of that, of actually helping produce the bits for the mining and construction, and some of the asphalt planers. We manufactured those as well. And then, that's kind of what helped us was we had a recycling program that was called a bit buyback program. So say if an underground miner took down 10 drill bits that he drilled with all day, it was his responsibility to bring them back out because we give them a credit for them. So that was a way for us to be able to recover the tungsten back on the scrap side. So, and it was, appetizing to those guys because they were getting a credit. So it was knocking their initial cost off of the bit that they were buying. So that, and then I went to college, got my degree in maintenance, and then decided my schedule was better to be on a UPS truck. And then, but I've had that maintenance side in me always. So I understood that, quite well, and it's helped me to where I'm at now for sure. Because I'm able to show my own guys things that they may not know or just may not have even been taught yet. Because we do have some guys that have came into our company that have started green, but they've come a long way. But then I went into the sales side for CUDA tools. I was selling the mining bits for the roof control, the picks for the continuous miners, and then, of course, the mining industry. When I came back into it was when I came back in was around 2014 or 15. Well, then the mining market went to shit. And so we had to regroup there a little bit, and we got into the construction side. So we started manufacturing all the bits for the downhole drilling, like your utility companies. So the same bits were being used on their augers or their core barrels for even the bigger, like drill rigs that would be drilling for pilings or piers for bridges or hotels. So we started manufacturing that, and it took off really well. And our gross profit was really well on it. And so we had another company that it looked really well to them, and they actually came in and purchased that division from us. but we have a really good working relationship with them. They actually manufacture tungsten carbide parts, but they're still on our property and rent our building from us, and that's been since 2017. So then that's kind of Cuda Grit kind of went under Cuda Tools, is how that came from. And of course, everybody's like, "What's Cuda?" Well, Barracuda, it's sharp teeth. So is where that comes from. That was kind of our logo. And we're big offshore fishermen, so that's we've been around the world catching marlin and sailfish and different things. That's kind of our thing. But then Cuda Grit evolved off of that. So when we first started crushing, we were crushing the used mining the roof bits that drill into the rooftop. That was the carbide that we would extract out of those, and that's what we started crushing at first because it was just a good feed source for us because we had so much of it coming in. And then we shifted to use drills, inserts, and end mills. And so that's what makes Cuda Grit such an industry leader.
Yeah.
Is because just to put it in perspective a little bit on the scrap side. So for 2022, we bought and sold 12 million pounds of scrap tungsten carbide.
Wow.
So as I was talking earlier about the different sources that it comes in from, we always have inventory to be able to crush because not only do we have our crush feed, but we are a direct supplier to the main manufacturers that are making new parts. So when a manufacturer, say, makes a new insert, they will use 85% recycled material to make that new part. So we deal in large volumes, container loads, and this comes in from, we have a Tunco in Germany because there's only a certain amount of tungsten that's procured domestically in the U.S., but there's more procured in Europe than the U.S. or North America.
That's fantastic. So many nuggets in there that I want to dive a little deeper on.
Yeah.
I'll go back to this. It sounds like you started on the ground floor all the way up to the president's role.
Yeah.
Super cool. Also, want to dive in for a quick second. Sounds like recycling, sustainability. You guys have been doing this before it was cool or a buzzword.
Yeah. So that's what's put us in the industry as a leader. Now the CEO Cliff, it's kind of I hate to back up a little bit here, but we grew up as childhood friends.
Very cool.
So much that my dad was an underground coal miner. So my dad would take bits in his mining bucket underground and that Steve would make. And then he would go in and he would pull all the Kennametal bits out and he would put Steve's bits on the machinery, tell his guys to, and then he would come bring them back out and he would tell Steve how to tweak the bits, what he needed to do.
That's awesome.
And so, so that a little bit of a little bit of background on that. But
yeah, no, that's good. You also mentioned about one of the hobbies, fishing. So I love the Barracuda story. That's really cool. How often do you get to go
fishing?
Yeah,
man. So my last trip, I listened to one of your previous, just recent podcast here, but we went to Brisbane. We flew into Brisbane back in November. It was Steve's. So we do quite a bit of business over there in the mining industry, obviously for the hard facing. And so we were doing a visit over there and I asked Cliff, I was like, do you want to go? And he's like, man, I really have plans, but, Dad, Dad's up for going if you're going to Australia fishing because he's caught 3 marlin in one trip over 850 pounds.
Wow.
So I hadn't got a piece of that pie, but November I did. We were on the boat for 3 days, and the last day at 10:45, I landed one that weighed 950 pounds.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So you land something like that. What do? You put it back in the ocean?
You celebrate.
You celebrate. I love it. That's fantastic.
It's a sport fish. So once you touch the leader, it's considered a catch. And so, so hopefully somebody else can get the opportunity.
Man, that's incredible. That's so much fun. Do you got any more trips planned in the coming future?
Man, I do. Probably October is usually a good month. We go down to Destin, Florida a lot and fish. Obviously, Steve and them have a boat, and so we're
Yeah.
trying to make that October trip coming up.
Well, I had a question here. I was going to ask what brings a smile to your face, but I figured out it's fishing.
Yeah, we're like I said, we're rednecks from Kentucky. So I grew up fishing, and not saltwater fishing, but a lot of bass fishing, and then hunting as well. That's been since 2000, I think 17. I think that's when we did it. We ventured out and are a partnership and part owner of Apex Ammunition. So we're definitely in the turkey and the waterfowl industry on the tungsten side. Those guys had a extensive background. They're all military. So they had the ballistic side of it. Obviously, we had the tungsten side of it. So it's been a great fit. And if anybody hasn't seen the Apex name out there, check it out. It's blown up pretty heavily.
I can honestly say, as I told you, but right before we jumped on, I didn't have any idea about your organization and all the different things that you're into. And it's just absolutely fascinating how you've figured out how to take these products and partner with people and recycle and, really serve in the dirt world. But, as I think about the dirt world growing up in it myself, there's always this side of outdoor adventures.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing is, you're one of those outdoor enthusiasts as well, always looking for things to do from an adventure standpoint.
Oh yeah, I've been that way since a kid. If somebody was like, "Let's go skydiving," let's go.
I love it. I love it. And is that kind of would you say that's kind of a theme within your organization?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, everybody here, they're all adventurous for sure.
Very good.
Yeah.
So the parent company, the umbrella is Tunco. Talk to me a little bit. So it's Tunco, then it's Lineage, then it's Cuda. I want to make sure that our listeners
it
understand.
kind of branches out even further. So you've got Tunco, the parent company. You've got Cuda Grit as a brand off of that. Then you've got Lineage Metallurgical, which is kind of our thermal spray side, where we make the powders for the thermal spray industry. That whether it be on the oil and gas where they're spraying valve gates, or we have the aerospace certifications to spray, the powders for landing gear or the vanes in the engines or some of the components there. And then we have Tunco in Germany, which is more of the scrap side of buying in Europe. It was in Ireland, and then we did an acquisition over there, and so we moved it from Ireland to Germany. A lot of times we were buying the material in Europe and then bringing it back to little old Madisonville, Kentucky, and then turning around and selling it back to Europe. So the logistics just made sense, And then we have another company called 74 Alloys. So they do more of not necessarily tungsten, but in the tungsten family, whether it be like titanium, dense alloy, heavy met, some of those heavier metals that's kind of in the tungsten family. But they also buy the turnings off the lathes after the metal, so the scrap turnings or high speed steel.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. There's TPP, which is Tunco powder procurement. And so when they spray tungsten thermal spray powders, if it doesn't get on the part, it hits the floor, it's contaminated. So then we buy what's called overspray powders back, and then the carbide sludges or the filters that I spoke about earlier, that would be under that division. And I'm probably missing one. Of course, Apex Ammunition. We have a 74 equine. We're in Kentucky, so we got horses.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That's fantastic. One thing I'm sitting here thinking about is just it feels like your organization is just really innovative and entrepreneurial, and you figured out problem solution. Is that driven from the top down? Is it just kind of a part of your culture within the organization?
It is. Steve and Cliff, Steve being the founder, Cliff being the CEO, present CEO now and owner. their minds are they're two different people. Like Steve's kind of more laid back, Cliff's a little more high strung, but he has lots of vision. And I always laugh. I'm like, either get on the train or get off, because we're going forward.
Oh, I love
But
it.
he's been very, he followed, like, we shut down for 8 weeks on Fridays, and the whole company went through the Dale Carnegie class. Yeah. So, we do an onboarding process for all of our new employees. We do some internship. He sends the executives to Harvard Business School. We've had some of the professors from Harvard Business come in and do some private lectures. So
That's incredible.
so he's very much about promoting extended education, and he loves the. Well, I say we love the disc profiles.
Yep.
We always do those as soon as someone's hired, so how to, I guess, to instruct someone how they pertain that.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I'm really excited about at the summit is we have Joe Hart coming, who is the CEO of
Yeah,
Dale Carnegie, and
yeah.
we've got several partners. I've been through several Dale Carnegie classes myself. I read How to Win Friends and Influence People annually, and it's really impacted my life in such a positive way. The 30 golden principles are just absolutely incredible, and it's crazy to think about an organization that's been around for 100 years that just those values and principles that they live by would be so valuable in today's day and age. But man, they're really relatable. And so I think that's cool that y'all are investing in your people in that way and giving them those opportunities.
Right. And Steve took that class, the founder, back in the 70s. And so, one of the questions I think we asked him was, what did you take out of this? And he was like, I think everybody should take this.
Yeah.
So it is a little, some of those things can be a little painful just because it's out of your comfort zone. But at the end of it, you're like, man, that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, leadership is so important. I'm hearing you talk about, your leaders, visionary integrator, got to still get things done. From a leadership philosophy standpoint, leading your organization, what is it that, do you have a favorite leader or mentor and why? Like any thoughts around leadership just in general?
Man, I don't know that I have a favorite. I really just take pieces of different things, and I'm a roundabout kind of guy, so I'm not, like some people, Cliff really likes Warren Buffett, so he looks at a lot of Warren Buffett stuff, and but the leadership, I'm kind of I like to cut up and kid a lot, so. It might be somebody that fishes the Bassmasters Classic that's up there doing a good interview, but it has a good point behind it, so I can't say I have a favorite.
Yeah, 100%. I tend to, listen to some podcasts. I read some books. There's so much access to information out there. What's your, method for, continued education and training, whether personally or within the organization? It sounds like you guys are doing some training classes and stuff, but do you have a preference for continued learning?
Yeah, we're all, as far as presidents, taking actually going to Harvard and taking some business classes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, whether it be, so I do have some continued education to do there. And we leave it on our employees to come to us and be like, look, we allow this much if you see some education that you think you could need, because we may not even know what they need. They may need to bring it to us.
That's incredible. So employee driven, you've got a bucket of money that you set aside, and then they can come to you and say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about X, Y, or Z. And you figure out a way to help make that happen.
Correct. And that was one reason for when I guess the first time I heard you guys was after Con Expo. And I saw that you guys were there, and then I was like, well, shit, they're in Nashville. I'm only 90 miles from there. I was like, so I started doing some research on you guys, but that kind of, I was like, there's got to be something that could benefit from going to the summit for our guys, and then obviously supporting it as well.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely glad to have your support. Super excited to get there. Build What's interesting. We've kind of, grown over the last 5 years. Aaron starts out kid with a camera. Next thing you know, he's got a creative agency by accident almost. But what an incredible group, in terms of Build What Creative and helping tell people stories and, digital marketing, et cetera. It's just, it's a wonderful group led by Chase Harris. And now we've gotten in, we just launched the jobs board, Build What Jobs. So super excited to be playing matchmaker with, companies that can post jobs and people that can put profiles. Super excited about that. And then the micro learning with training, and now the event, obviously that we're having, the summit. Really appreciate, your support of that. The ultimate goal is to unite the industry around leadership and workforce development. We brought in some great experts with, Jocko Willink and Bob Chapman and Joe Hart and Marcus Sheridan and Wally Admachek and Jason Schroeder, and some panels that are going to be there. It's just going to be so much fun. I'm almost like a kid at Christmas. I can't wait to, I work at Build Wit, but I can't wait to go and see the 500 plus people and,
Right.
All the different presentations and whatnot.
Wow.
What do you,
there's already 500?
There's, as of today, it's September 15th. We're 528 tickets sold.
Oh, wow.
So super excited for this thing. For a first year, it's going pretty well. We've sold out the sponsors, our space. We're trying to work through the logistics right now. It's going to be an absolute incredible event.
I think when I had the conversation at first, you guys were only about 100 in. So that's why that's why my response was like, that's awesome.
It's been a labor of love. So many great people working on it, trying to get the word out. Being in Houston, kind of a new thing for us. It's in October, construction season. Like, one of the things we've talked about is, well, what month isn't construction season?
Right.
Just, with the world being so cyclical and whatnot, it's like we got people coming from all over. So, but yeah, we're really excited about it. And who all's coming from your group? You're going to be there?
So I will be there. Obviously, we have our Lineage Metallurgical plant is in Baytown, Texas, just out of Houston. So I spend some time down. Actually, I just came in yesterday from there, but I do spend some time down there. So, but yeah, so we're just going to check it out this time to see who to place in the next summit. So obviously myself and my marketing and IT guy will be there, Eddie Beanie. So probably next time we like to not send the same people to the same, I guess you could call this a show.
Sure. Yeah.
Same show. We like to bust it up, just like we got September. We're 2 weeks out from the Utility Expo in Louisville, Kentucky. So we're obviously have a booth there, but we're bringing our guys up out of production and showing them actually what a trade show looks like that have never been, and going to put them in there and let them work a little bit of it, so that we don't get the crap from those guys that we're just out having meals and whining and dining customers, and they can stand on the floor a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, when you're at the summit, you'll have to make sure that you bring your workout gear and be at that 4:30 a.m. PT with Jocko. That's going to be it's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't know if you call that fun, but
oh man, that's incredible. Well, I guess as you look at the lineup, is there anything that you're just super excited about for the summit?
Matt, just to meet the different people and see what different industries are going to be there, and for us to get, just like you didn't know who Coup de Grit is, and so by the time we leave, people will have Coup de Grit on their map and know that we're a leader in the industry for the hard facing, not just on crushed carbide for the MIG process, but other as well. And then our you kind of hit earlier on kind of what our purpose would be, I think. And so like our purpose for our organization is, so our purpose that we've came up with in the last year would be stewarding in the collective health of the planet and people. So that kind of goes hand in hand with what you guys are all about as well. So that was reason for being a good fit together, I believe.
I love it. I know we've kind of bounced all around a little bit today, and super excited to learn. I did want to bounce back real quick. I never even asked. I was curious, like, how many team members do you guys even have? Ballpark.
We are close to 90, I guess,
Okay.
but we have some big projects in the works that could add, another 40 or 50 within the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. When you say projects, is that like some project that you're bidding on, or is that like, hey, we've got this new innovative idea, we're going to do something new from a business standpoint?
This would be from a business standpoint, just some expansion within our own company.
Very good. Very good. So, what challenges and opportunities do you see in the industry that you're specifically, anything out there that's kind of sticking out that you got to try to find a way to overcome?
Well, obviously, back in 2020, it was logistics. But
Yeah.
we've kind of came out of that. That it is still a little bit of an issue on the international side, getting hosed up a little bit with you've got some material on the water going back and forth. But we've kind of worked through that and just got shipments out sooner to allow for those times, whether they're going to Europe or Australia. But I think. It's kind of wishy-washy. You hear
Mhm.
people say that the mining market is turning down, or the coal mining market is, but then you hear you go to Australia and you talk to those guys and it's booming. So you get both sides of the story. But as far as a whole, I think we're in pretty good shape from where we've come
That's
over the
great.
last couple of years. Other than the workforce, not necessarily us, but you hear it from customers. They're like, "Man, we just can't get people to work."
Hmm.
But it's
Totally.
across the board.
Love it. Love it. Well, I know I have learned a ton more. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you wished I would have asked or something that you'd like to share with
Well,
the
no,
listeners?
something just came to mind. I've been in sales a long time, but Steve. One thing about Coup de Grit that, or our Tunco organization, we're a family-owned company. We're still family-owned, so we have that aspect of it. So sometimes you have to say, "Are we talking business or buddies?" Because if we're talking buddies, you know what, and that's a lot of companies in the construction industry. So you have to be able to separate that. But Steve taught us it's not just about selling; you're selling your service. So that as far as Coup de Grid and Tunco, that's why we've been so successful. Is that we pride ourselves on our service.
Yeah,
There's
100%.
been many a times that I've had people run out of material, and I say many a times, a couple of times offhand, but we've put it in the back of a pickup truck and showed up at their dock door when their operation starts the next morning. And so we have built relationships like that, and they don't forget those things.
Yeah, 100%. It sounds like Steve and Cliff are two amazing leaders. They've been great mentors to you.
Right.
Sounds like, the relationships with your customers and customer service is just absolutely, a priority for your organization. And I'm just really excited to hear, all the things that you offer for the dirt world. I had no
Right.
idea.
And the cool thing is, so Cliff's the second generation. Cliff and I are the same age. Obviously, we grew up together. His son is at Belmont University in Nashville. And so he will be the third generation, same age as my son. So he's the next generation coming up as well. So we've got something to look forward to for the future there as well.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Well, Josh, I can't thank you enough for joining us on the Dirt World podcast.
Yep.
We are so grateful for your support at the Ariat Dirt World Summit. It's going to be an incredible event. What's the best way for people to find your organization from an online standpoint? Is it
We're just like Amazon. We have a site on there. Believe it or it's going to seem strange to you, but you just put the tungsten carbide you want in a cart. You can put your credit card in, check out. It UPSs to you for your hard facing needs.
wow, that's incredible.
Uh, and that's a big thing down in the Houston area because we make these tungsten rods that they retip the bits with. or the fishing tools. And so a lot of those welders and things like that they can just check out online and it's shipped right to them. So that came about, I guess, in 2020. But it's been a game changer for us as well, because you see all these new customers you never knew you had an opportunity at. Just you wake up, there's an order in your cart.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks again for joining us today. It's been an incredible experience. I've loved learning about you personally, your organization. Can't wait to see you in Houston. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep leading in the dirt world, building people, projects, and communities.